Greetings, everyone. On this week's episode, we have special guest, Jewels Rhode, public health professional, world adventurer, and founder of TravelJewels. Check it out.
Hi, everyone.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the celebration. As you know, this is my year of courage. I want to thank you so much for joining us here today. I know you could be anywhere. So the fact that you're here sharing your most valuable resource, your time, means the absolute world to me. I'm so excited for you to be here because we have an amazing guest. She goes by the name of Jewels Rhode. Jewels is a public health professional, world adventurer, and founder of TravelJewels. TravelJewels showcases the amazing things and people you can see and meet the world over through travel. TravelJewels shares tips and tricks to make world travel work for you. Since 2010, Jewels has traveled to 28 countries, all while being a student or working full-time. How's it going today, Jewels? Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
My pleasure. What did I miss, or what do you want to elaborate on or add to from that wonderful intro that describes the amazing life you're living right now?
Yeah, the only thing that I would add is just the importance of intentionality when traveling, and that's something that's really big to me, having intentional, authentic travel experiences. So engaging with locals, talking to locals, and being really reflective about the whole process. And so not just traveling for an Instagram picture, which is nice, I'm not gonna lie, but traveling for that reflective piece and that deeper moment, deeper kind of connection with what's happening with the experience. Yeah.
You'd kind of been, I heard, elaborating it when you were just explaining, but maybe to go explicit, what does it mean to be intentional for you?
Yeah, it's to really be mindful of every experience. So, and that may sound overwhelming, like, oh my gosh, I got to think about everything. But I think when in my regular life, when I'm not traveling, I have a plan. I'm like ABC. I'm always thinking about the future. But when I travel, it's a moment for me to really take a step back and be present and live in the moment and just allow life to happen without me having to think about the 1,000,001 things I have to do or plan for. So I think that's something I really love and enjoy about travel. It forces me to slow down and just be present.
The other word you used was authentic. So what does authenticity look like in the example or within travel?
Yeah, it's to really engage with the locals. At least for me, that's my thing. And of course I'm a blogger and I love when people read my articles, but I think it's important to talk to people. And because, some people, they'll say, oh, you shouldn't go to this place, like it's dangerous. But then when you get there and talk to the locals, it's like, oh, actually, it's not bad at all. And they will tell you if it's true, like, oh, yeah, you shouldn't go there. I don't go there. So I think it's always good. And it forces us, it shows us that we have more in common with people than the media may suggest at times. So, and I think that's also an important thing about traveling and engaging with others.
Did you notice when you first started to travel, was there maybe some of that subconscious fear that we're kind of fed from our media? And did you notice it?
Oh, yeah. So I first traveled, my first abroad experience was in South Africa, in Durban. I studied abroad there. And prior to me going abroad, I studied in 2010 when South Africa wasn't as trendy as it is now. So it was a whole bunch of articles about how dangerous it was, how like, oh, you're going to get raped every 26 seconds. And this,
what?
Yeah, my friend, she legit sent me an article right before I got on the plane saying,
oh my God.
It's some crazy article saying like, oh, every 26 seconds, like someone gets raped in South Africa.
Oh,
and it's basically, talking about how dangerous it is and the poverty and the crime and blah, blah, blah. And despite that, I decided to go because I wanted to see for myself, and I wanted to get connected to Africa. I wanted to go back to the motherland.
Mm-hmm.
So I went there, and I'm so glad I did, because it's nothing like what the media says. And not to say that those issues don't exist, because, there is poverty there is crime there, but there's also that in many places in the United States and other Western countries. So it showed me the importance of really questioning what we see, what the media shows us, and also just going to see for ourselves. And so that was really important. And of course, that was in the back of my head. And even in the study abroad program, their job is to protect the students. So even the program manager was a little bit like, because we did half of our homestay in the township. Mm-hmm. And he would say, don't hang out with people in the township. But to me, it's just like, we're living there, so we're going to interact with them. But they just felt like beyond the homestay families, like, don't really go out in the township. But but I'm glad I didn't listen.
It kind of sounds like there's a lot of times people are trying to correlate that poverty instantly means crime.
Yeah. And this goes so much more deeper than that. And there's a lot of similarities between things that happen in the United States too. So that was a very eye-opening experience for my first time traveling abroad and seeing the relationship between poverty and health outcomes. Because I'm a public health professional, so that's why I went over there to study that. So to see that and then to compare it in the United States and seeing that vicious cycle and how can we intervene in that cycle. So it was a lovely experience. It was a life-changing experience.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
You've piqued my interest. Do you mind sharing at all any of the similarities or aha moments you saw with your health professional hat on?
Yeah. So we, as I mentioned, we stood in a township. So my first homestay mom, I had to leave basically because she had tuberculosis, and once we found out that she was hospitalized for it, I had to go. And then 2 weeks after I left South Africa, she actually passed away. So that was really hurtful for me. And my own mom, my birth mom at home, she was diagnosed with diabetes in the emergency room. So that was just frustrating for me to see how, no matter where you are in the world, we're all battling these things. If you come from a certain socioeconomic background, you have these bad health outcomes, like being diagnosed, having a 600 level sugar level in the emergency room when you just saw your doctor 2 weeks ago, So once that happened to my mom, that kind of piqued my interest in public health and just trying to really intervene on those factors and understanding why is that happening? How can a doctor not notice those symptoms? Why was she diagnosed with diabetes in the emergency room? So the seeing that, my birth mom and my homestay mom, it was just really, it hit close to home. So that's why whenever I travel, I always look at this health-related, factors, look how cheap their fresh veggies are, and look how their meat looks. It's not processed. So it's just things like that.
Have you found any places that were kind of the opposite, where it was very inspiring and uplifting, some of the healthcare things they were doing or health-related?
Well, so when I was in London, shout out to single payer healthcare system, I had an ATV accident in Thailand, and I was on my way back to the States, but we had a layover in London. So on the way, on the airplane back, my leg, it just blew up. It was real swollen and black and blue. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I need to go to the urgent care. So I went there and it was free. All I had to do was pay $8 for codeine, the medication.
Wow.
And I had shots. They gave me blood thinners, x-rays, all that stuff. And it was free. And that would have been over $1,000 and if it was in America. So it was very eye-opening because we studied different systems, but it was just like, wow, you know, now I'm actually benefiting from their system. And it's not perfect because I was talking to the taxi driver on the way to urgent care, and he felt like, oh, it's actually, even though it's free, it's crappy. Which that was his opinion. But for me, I was in urgent care for maybe 4 hours and it was free. So for my purposes, it was fine. But I'm not sure like how, for a regular citizen, how it doesn't seem like, it seems like it has its issues. Every system has its issues.
Yes. So was 2010 the beginning of the travel bug for you? Was that when you went to South Africa? Did that start it?
Yeah, that definitely started. It was my second time on the plane. It was my first international trip. My first trip in general was a spring break. We went to LA, so that was a 6-hour trip. Then my next trip was a 17-hour flight to Joburg. So I'm accustomed to long flights, apparently.
Yes.
Yeah. But ever since then, I'm like, you know what? I need to go see for myself. There's so much false information that's fed to us every day, and it has really instilled a curiosity in me to just explore and meet people. I love the people. That's my favorite part. And I've met friends from all over the world, went to weddings from people that I met during my travel. So it's a beautiful thing.
What was it, instant? Did you instantly have it, or did it have some reflection? What led up to the next trip
after South Africa? Mm-hmm. So the next trip after South Africa, we volunteered in Kenya, which now I wouldn't do anything like that. But in college, that was the thing to do. But now I'm like, I don't know about going to a place for a short period of time and then leaving. So I don't feel good about that. But I did do it during college. They encourage you to go like do short-term things like that. So that was the next one. And then after that, I took my first trip to Europe with a friend. We went to Paris, Barcelona, and I'm missing one. Oh my gosh. Rome. Yeah, Rome and Sorrento and Capri on the coast. It was beautiful.
Two things. You brought up two really interesting points. So what do they call it? Volunteer tourism? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Now that I travel a lot more and now I'm this older, I'm on the fence about it just because I feel like it's self-serving. And even us, I realized that when I got there so we were working with HIV positive women. Mm-hmm. So we came in and we were helping support like their businesses. They made jewelry. But then I realized like, it just didn't feel right to me. Like we're here, but we're about to leave. And we didn't change their situation. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in terms of us, we got to see the way they were living and all of that. But I just felt like, no, this is wrong. Like we're not. So, I mean, we decided to take some of their jewelry back and sell it on their behalf. Just to kind of feel like, okay, we're doing a little bit something more. But even that, it's still like, we're students. We're about to graduate. What else is there for us to do? So it wasn't a good feeling for me because I just felt like, goodness, I thought I was doing this good thing. But now I realize that their situation's deeper than I can ever possibly help. And I just felt bad for even going over there in the first place. So that was really hard for me. And they appreciated us, taking their jewelry and sending them money back. We sent about, I think, over $400, which is a lot of money for them. So that felt good. But like I said, it's a short thing. It's not a sustainable thing. So it's not a sustainable solution. So now I'm very wary of things, volunteerism. Not terrorism, excuse me. And that
part. Volunteer terrorism?
That's what it should be called.
We just want to go on record and say we condone, or not condone, we don't like.
Oh, man.
Now I'm blushing too. We're in this together.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I don't like it. Now I don't, but because I'm older and I have a better understanding of
That's wonderful.
that.
So I'm sure by this point, some folks are listening and they're starting to get that inspiration / jealous bug. So could you maybe kind of reveal or break down the third wall, or whatever it's called, and kind of share with people how, maybe for you had a budget, or for you it wasn't just like something you could do with ease, but you set an intention. Could you break it down for people and make it?
Oh yeah, for sure. So first I don't come from this extreme wealthy family. I don't have a rich boyfriend that's sponsoring my trips. Like there's no sponsor involved. It's all on my own dime. So I work as a project manager, and what I do, I get paid monthly. So every month I put money towards my standard savings and then also my travel savings. So I prioritize travel because it's a big part of who I am. So for me, it's like, okay, no matter what, I'm always going to have this travel fund. And then from there, the next step is to find a cheap deal. And there's so many cheap deals out there. I like to use Momundo. It's a search engine, and I find that they have the best options in terms of flights. But also there's websites that they perform all sorts of searches daily, and so they have a lot of good deals, like the flight deal, Scott Cheap, I think it's flights or tickets, and Secret Flying. All of those websites, they have tons of great deals. So, and I think you have to be flexible. I think being flexible is important. Being flexible with when you want to go is, of course, it's going to be cheaper to travel off peak season, and it may be even better because it'll be less crowded depending on where you're going, and also maximizing your vacation time. So, say if you have July 4th off, try to plan a trip around like days that you have off. And I think those are the key things that come to mind, but definitely being intentional about your savings.
Can I, and feel free to say this is too personal, but just some detailed questions. Do you do it where it automatically puts it into your travel fund, or do you manually transfer the money?
So I manually transfer it because I try to have a standard amount, but depending on like certain things comes up, so I may have to cut back on the travel and like put less. So yeah, I just manually after it gets my check gets direct deposited into my account, I manually move it to my travels account.
And do you have a end of the year amount in mind, or you just do little by little and then see what you have?
Well, my trips, I usually take 2 to 3 weeks trips, and they usually range from $2,000 to $3,000. So that's usually my goal in terms of savings. Yeah.
So you'll think I need $3,000 by the end of the year.
Yeah, but usually it's not really by the end of the year because I take multiple trips in general. So yeah, so it's hard to say like. It just depends on like whenever the trip is going to be, that's when I'm like, okay, I need this amount by that date.
Okay. So just in terms of actionable steps people can take is set up a separate bank account that you call your travel fund. Yes,
that's a really good step. And for me, so I have a Capital One account. It's a money market account. So I use that as my travel savings because they actually they add a little bit of money to it. So I have, Capital One is my main account. So I have multiple accounts with them. So I just it's easy, it's an easy transfer.
Okay. So you're doing money market as opposed to just a standard savings account.
Yeah, because they add a little bit to it. So it's only like a few cents, but it makes me feel good.
Okay.
It's growing.
Nice. You get just a little bit better interest rate using money market.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
So what about people who they have the money, they're booked, and they're just feeling overwhelmed? It's like the week before or the day before, and they're scared, they're nervous, they're thinking about pulling out. What advice do you have?
Yeah, so travel, it's beautiful, but it can be overwhelming because there is a lot. It's a lot mentally, physically, and all of that. So for me, first I usually try to pack at least 2 weeks in advance because for the most part, I am a carry-on type of traveler because I'm moving around a lot in the places that I'm going to. But if it is a place where I'm not moving around a lot, then I'll bring a bigger suitcase. Like when I went to Brazil, I had checked in the bag because we weren't moving around that much, so it was easier to be with a larger suitcase. But yeah, so I would definitely suggest make a packing list so your life will be so much easier that way, and then you won't forget anything, and you don't have to waste money buying something you already have. So a packing list is key. Then also an action item list, like, okay, did I call my banks to tell them that I'm going to be out the country? Did I let people know that I'm about to be out the country? I share my location with, I know that's a feature on the iPhone. I'm not sure about any other models, and on iPhone, you can share your location with people so that when you're traveling, you feel a little better knowing that someone will know where you are at all moments. And yeah, I pray. I always pray for safety and traveling mercy, and to just keep the wrong people out of our path and our journey, and this people that's going to keep us safe. And yeah, so then I feel better about it.
That was, in your explanation or on your website, you talk about faith, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
What does that mean for you, faith?
Well, I'm a Christian, and so faith for me is believing in God, believing in Jesus, and knowing that everything happens for a reason, that even when something is not going your way, there's a bigger purpose to it. And sometimes the reason is not revealed to you in the moment, but eventually you'll look back and be like, you know what? That makes sense why that all happened. And for me personally, in traveling, a lot of things can go wrong. So
yes,
I've had my fair amount of travel disasters. And in those moments, I had to really let go and let God, because literally nothing was going right. So
that was going to be my next question. Do you have any examples where maybe in the moment you're like, I don't know, but then later while you were traveling, it connected that I'm glad I had this experience? Or do you have any stories you can share with us?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So I, on the way back from my Europe trip, we were traveling, we took a road trip throughout Poland and the Czech Republic, and we went to Berlin as well. So we had an amazing road trip, but the journey back was terrible. It was a disaster. So first, my original flight I was supposed to go on was no longer happening. So they were like, oh, but we have this earlier flight for you. But then I had a connecting flight to Raleigh. So that kind of I'm like, well, that one doesn't work. So they were trying to find me a different flight. But then that one had an 8-hour layover in Russia. And I was just like, okay, I don't want to really be in Russia, alone. But they were like, oh, we're going to put you up in a hotel. When you get there, just go to the information desk. We're going to put you in a hotel. You'll just stay there until the connecting flight. I'm like, oh, okay, that's not bad, right?
Yeah.
So I get there, a long flight, I get there. And then it's this terrible storm. So apparently there's no more hotel rooms.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And they're like, well, they said something about, oh, you could go to the lounge and pay for it. You get reimbursed later, but that's only 3 hours that you could be there. Wow. And then I was just like, yes, I was really frustrated, and I was lonely in this airport. And then I tried to go to sleep in the airport, but then I couldn't because I'm like, I don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm like, all right, things are going to get better, right? But, let me back up. So before that moment, I was not excited about having to be in Russia just because of the relationship between the U.S. and Russia and how people perceive the U.S. and Russia.
Yeah.
So when I was on the flight, I was nervous and I was just not excited about it. But the people I sat next to, it was a man and a woman around my age. And so the flight attendant hands me a sandwich. I have a peanut allergy. I can't believe I missed this major step part of the story. So I have a peanut allergy. All the ingredients are in Russian. I'm looking and I'm like, okay, I don't know what any of this means. So I asked the flight attendant, I said, oh, excuse me, sir, does this have nuts in it? I'm allergic to peanuts. And he's like, oh, no, it doesn't. So I'm about to eat it. The woman next to me, she already took a bite and she's like, no, don't eat it. It has nuts in it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I was about to die.
Like that serious of an allergy?
Yes, I have an anaphylactic, reaction to peanuts. Is it serious? I have my EpiPen and everything. And I was just like, oh my gosh, first, I was so grateful that she spoke English and she was, even that she cared enough to mention it to me. Yeah. So then we're all talking and they were both from Russia. But the guy, he travels to the US a lot, to San Francisco for work. And the girl, actually, her boyfriend lives in Poland, so she was there visiting him. But they both felt like they were very protective of me, and I was not expecting that. I was on edge. I'm like, I'm about to go on Russia. I need to be careful. They don't like us out here, And I mean, a lot of that is the fear that the media puts in us, but also from personal experiences that I've heard from friends. So, is this not the most friendliest place? So I was just on edge, and I prayed. Before it, I prayed. I'm like, God, please keep me safe. I don't know what's about to happen. I was so anxious, especially because I was by myself. A Black woman traveling by herself to Russia. I was just like, I don't feel good about this. I prayed so hard. And I just thought that was God answering my prayers, sending me these two people to first show me, I don't like when people generalize Black people. And here I was basically generalizing the Russians, oh, they're all bad, I know that's not true. And I hate when people do that, about Black people. And so it really showed me wow, they really, this switched my whole opinion for the better. And I was so grateful for that experience, for that interaction with them, so that they were just so helpful to me and supportive. It was really bad turbulence. The woman grabbed my hand because she saw him I was just a little bit shaky. So it was just a really special moment. I was so nervous, but to me, sitting next to those people, I could have sat next to anyone, but the fact that God put me next to those two people who were really, the woman saved my life, the flight attendant told me that there were no nuts in there. And then, excuse me. And then she was just, she was speaking to him in Russian saying that, oh, you need to give her another meal. What is she going to eat? So it's just she was communicating with them. And then she was really advocating for me. And they, short enough, found some food for me, they gave me extra fruit, but it's something that if she wasn't there, I probably would have been overlooked, So I was just really grateful for that. And we're still friends on Facebook, and it's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. So okay, going back to, so now I'm in the Russian airport and they're like, oh, sorry, girl, there ain't no more hotel rooms in the airport. And because in Russia, you need a visa to get out of to explore the city. So I was confined to only the airport, the hotel airports. And so there weren't any. So I ended up going to the lounge and that was fine. Finally, I'm on the flight to New York, right? Super excited. And then from there, I was going to get my flight to go to North Carolina. I get to New York where I was supposed to pick up my luggage. Oh, guess what? The luggage isn't there. They lost it.
Oh, no.
I was just are you kidding me? Literally everything that could go wrong. I'm just God, I don't understand. Why is this happening to me? I don't get it. So anyway, but I wrote an article all about this nightmare and what I learned from it and everything. So in retrospect, I did learn a lot, and now I know how to handle those situations better. All of that was just such a tragedy, but it taught me so much. So now, not to say that I don't get flustered at all, but I know that there's always a solution, and the solution happens when you're calm and centered and not this, oh my God, blah, 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 blah. So I really, now if something goes wrong, I really try to just like stop, take a deep breath, think about it, know that it's going to be okay. Everything is happening the way that it's supposed to happen, and then proceed. So,
I mean, well said.
It took a lot to get to that point.
Took being stranded in Russia.
Stranded in Russia, luggage lost in New York, flight delayed, because that was also when it was like a major outage in Delta system. And then like, so my flight to North Carolina was delayed like 3 hours. So it was terrible. The vacation was beautiful, but the journey back, I was like, I'm over this.
Well, you had started to talk about it in that story. If you wouldn't mind sharing with us, what is it like for you traveling as a Black woman?
Yeah, so it means different things in different places. So it was interesting. When I studied in South Africa, I was one of 2 Black women in the program. And the other one, she was from Ghana. So I was the only Black American. And it was interesting because the homestay, the little girls in the home of the homestay sisters, a lot of them were like to my friends, I heard there's a Black American in the program. Can I meet her? So that was really cool because they never met. At that time, a lot of Black people weren't studying abroad for many reasons. Or at least they weren't going to Africa. And so it just felt like, wow, I get to meet a Black American. And that was so special to me because I'm like, wow, they're really like interested in meeting a Black American. And so that was beautiful. And just to be in Africa was amazing. And because in America, I always felt like, I'm Black before I'm American, but when you travel, it's like you're American before anything. And then it was just interesting to see that dynamic in like South Africa and how people like would treat me. It's like immediately like your family, and I like that. But then some moments, and then in traveling in Asia, you're gonna get I get all sorts of stares, especially if I wear my hair natural. It's like, everyone wants to take a picture of you. So I'm like, is this what Beyonce feels like?
That's what they said?
No, I was just like, yeah, because no, that's what I said. I'm like, this must be what Beyonce feels like. Like everybody wants a picture. And it's cool because I feel like, a lot of times in terms of beauty and Blackness, I feel like sometimes Black women aren't highly regarded. As compared to like a white woman. So to be in a place where they're cherishing you for your features, for your physical features, it felt like, oh wow, like this feels different. It feels good. Like things that people are saying, oh, it's not like, that's not beautiful. They're like saying, no, it's beautiful. So it was reaffirming. It's nice. And then is this interesting to me, this to be there and see people really, you'll still see people staring, and then when you look at them, they're like, they get embarrassed. Like, yeah, I see you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I wonder how many random people's photos, cameras I'm in, because some people take pictures too. I'm just like, oh gosh. So that's the good, you'll have the good stares like of admiration, like, oh wow, I've never seen. And I know some people may not feel comfortable with the whole people want to take pictures of them, but I see it as this cross-cultural exchange where some people genuinely aren't used to seeing Black people. So like to see a Black woman in real life, like not in a video, it's like, oh, wow, I've never seen that before. And I mean, and I don't know, because I travel a lot, I've never had the urge to like take a picture of somebody. I don't know. That's just me. Unless like we were engaging with each other, then I'm like, oh, this is a cool moment. Like, mind if I take a picture? But not just randomly. But then when I was in South America, I was also getting them wanting to take pictures too, and I was just not expecting that because I'm like, you guys have some Black people here. You should
Yes.
But it's just interesting. It's like, I don't know, especially if I have my hair natural, as I don't know, is a wonder to people. But then you have your moments where people may give you nasty stares. This happened once when my only time traveling throughout Europe where I ever felt uncomfortable. I was traveling in Austria, and I was dating a guy at the time. He's Austrian, and we were traveling. And I don't know if it was because it was because he was white and people didn't like a Black person with a white person, or if they just didn't like me, like being Black in general. Because we went to a lot of little remote towns. I received a lot of dirty stares, stares like, what are you doing here? Wow. And I was just not expecting that because prior to that trip, I had traveled a lot. So that was really disturbing to me because I felt really uncomfortable in some spots. And it wasn't like that in a lot of places, but it did happen more times than I would like. And some people may say, oh, it's just a stare, but it was like the type of stare that makes you feel really uncomfortable because it's like they're judging you based on your appearance and not who I am as a person. You know, it's like you're making so many judgments on me without even knowing anything. So that was just, but overall, I feel like traveling as a Black woman is, I don't know, it's very interesting. And like I said, it means different things in different places. When I was in Brazil, it was like I was home. People thought I was Brazilian. My friend and I were Brazilian. My friend actually speaks Portuguese. So until I opened up my mouth, people would think that I was Brazilian. So that was fine. But even there, you know, they have a like colorism over there. So there may be a few interactions. Nothing happened to me personally, but yeah, just some people may feel entitled because of their skin color. So, yeah.
Well, I appreciate you, you know, it's a personal question, so I appreciate you answering and sharing with us. And I know maybe for some people listening, they might find that inspiring to know that a lot of places you go, it's an affirming experience.
Oh yeah, it is affirming. Like in Italy, the Italian men, they love Black women. That's the thing. Like it's weird because, you know, of course you have to be mindful. You don't want to be fetishized. You know, no one wants to be fetishized. But then it's also like, yeah, I know Black women are beautiful, and I'm glad that y'all recognize it. We're beautiful. We have like tons of melanin. We're golden. So I don't know. It's very affirming to me to be Black and abroad. And it feels good. It also feels good to see other Black people abroad too. And it's kind of like, you know, you give each other the head nod, like, I see you. One really special experience for me was I was in Porto, in Portugal, and we were crossing a bridge, right? And I was on one side, and another lady, we have the same hair type. She was on the other side. And mind you, so we were probably like the only Black people in sight at the moment. So we like both see each other, and we're like, hi. I'm like, I love your hair. She's like, I love yours too. This is all happening like across the street. But we got so excited to see each other, and I don't even know who she is. But it's just that instant connection. Like, I see you, you know, and you're beautiful. So that was cool.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So my understanding is you travel often with like a crew of friends or one or two friends.
Yeah. So I usually go with like one or two friends. When I was in South Africa, so I studied in South Africa, and then during graduate school, I went to Cape Town to complete my summer internship. And so I did that by myself. But for the most part, I travel with like at least one or two other people.
One of those friends is the ones who connected us, Fiona, right?
Yes, I love Fiona. She's awesome. Yeah, that's my travel bestie.
What does that mean, travel bestie?
like we both, Fiona, she's the type of person, I say everyone needs that stay ready friend, like a friend like, girl, I found this flight. We about to book? And they're just gonna book. That's Fiona. Like she's like, all right, let's do it. Let's go. You know, because a lot of people, it's actually hard to find a travel buddy. Like some people, you know, they say they're in, but then it's just pulling their teeth. That's not Fiona. Everyone needs a stay ready friend. You have that flight deal and they stay ready about to book. So,
that's wonderful.
Yeah, she's awesome.
So Fiona wanted me to let you know that she's so proud of you, and she loves how you've made all this come to fruition in such an inspiring way.
Oh, she's so sweet. I love her.
She also would like to know, what advice would you want your younger self to know?
Oh, that's a good one. I think the importance of this is a really good question. I would want my younger self to know, to really feel confident in that everything happens for a reason. So not to dwell on things that are no longer serving me. And it's easy to say, but really to internalize that, you know, like just to let go of things and people that just no longer served you in the way that you meant to be served.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that with us, and thank you to Fiona for asking.
Yeah, thank you for the question.
So you might have heard me mention at the beginning that this is my year of courage.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a feeling that a lot of people listening right now are really looking to you as someone who's very courageous.
Mm-hmm.
So what for you is courage?
That's a really good question. For me, courage is being uncomfortable and knowing that there's so much growth that comes from being uncomfortable. And I say that you need courage to be uncomfortable because it's not, that's not a feeling that people enjoy. Like no one wants that feeling, but you need to be audacious and bold enough to know that in those uncomfortable moments, that's when you're gonna grow. And to embrace the uncomfortableness of whatever situation that you're going through, and to push past that and know that things will get better.
That's powerful. One of the reasons this is my year of courage is because I worry that people think courage is only for those people who do these extraordinary acts.
Yeah.
And so what the conversation I want to have is, what does everyday courage look like? Yeah. And so in your life, what does everyday courage look like?
Yeah, for me, it's this, as I mentioned earlier, so just really letting go of people that this are no longer a positive, adding anything to your life. And that's easier said than done, because a lot of times, like sometimes it's hard to cut those people out. So for me, I'm constantly like reevaluating who I'm allowing, who am I giving my energy to, and whose energy is affecting me. So constantly looking at that, but also at the end of the day, staying true to myself and knowing that I'm living an honest life and a life that I'm going to be proud of. You know, I don't want to just be here and exist. Like I want to really say, wow, like I'm actually living. I'm not just here. I'm really intentional about everything, about who I interact with, about my goals. And I think, and that's courageous to me, because a lot of times I feel like society, there's this focus on, you know, a traditional life, like, oh, you have your 9 to 5 and not. But I feel like for me, it's courageous to be like, no, I'm going to break that mold and I'm going to work on my blog and it's going to turn into something amazing. It's already evolving in ways that I couldn't imagine. So is this courageous for me to pursue this passion project, this side hustle. And even in moments where it may feel like, is this even going anywhere? To stay true to myself and have faith that it is going to go somewhere eventually, as long as I'm staying authentic and producing the best content that I can.
That's super powerful. Appreciate you sharing that.
Of course.
You had started to mention it, but we can just make it explicit. You know, I'm sure a lot of folks listening are going to want to connect with you and soak up some of that joy and inspiration that you share. So where can they do that?
Yeah, so my blog is www.TravelJewels.net. And I have all sorts of information on there. You can download a step-by-step guide to planning your vacation of your dreams. And I have tons of content on there. And then on Instagram, I'm _TravelJewels_. And then I also have a Facebook page. It's Travel Jewels, I think 2016. Yeah.
and don't worry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
We could verify that. But Instagram is the main platform and my actual website.
Yes, indeed. And for those who are traveling right now, you know, listening while they're driving to work or cleaning the house, you already know that I have all of these show links that Jewels mentioned, all in the show notes, which can be found at TomRhode.com/Jewels. It has an S at the end. TomRhode.com/Jewels is where all of that can be found. So all the links that we just mentioned, I do recommend that you download the free Plan Your Dreams handout that Jewels mentioned. I downloaded it and have been using it because I've been wanting more travel in my life. And so it's very helpful. Also recommend Jewels' Instagram. It's super awesome. There's some really cool and inspiring photos that if you don't have the travel bug already, will definitely bite you and have you ready to do it. So I recommend you definitely check those out. Jewels, what would you like to invite people to do or consider or reflect upon or anything at all? What would you like to invite them to?
Yeah, I really want to invite people to live an intentional life. So whatever that means to you, just be honest with yourself and be intentional in everything, intentional with your interactions with people and your pursuit of your goals. And I guarantee you it's going to change your life. So that's what I invite everyone to do.
That's wonderful. I appreciate that. And if I might add, I love this how you have at the bottom of your website too, that you invite people to try something new, seek the truth, and most importantly, live a full life.
Yes, I'm all about it. We have to. Life is just way too short, you know. That's why I'm like, every moment, you gotta make it big. So.
Yes, indeed. Big like 28 countries in 8 years.
Yeah. It's possible.
Yes, indeed. While either being a full-time student or working full-time. So
yes. And no sponsors. So
exactly. You know, I think it was the 4-minute mile, 3-minute mile, one of those 4-minute miles that everybody had tried it for years and years since the Roman times.
Yeah.
And one person finally did it after thousands of years. And the year they did it, like 4 or 5 people did it that year. Because when we see someone else do something, our imaginations can now perceive it. And so I know, Jewels, that you're doing that for a lot of people, that they're thinking, it's a full-time student, I'm working, there's no way I can do international travel. And, you know, I really know that you're that source of light, that spark of inspiration, telling people, I can do this, giving them the vision. And your blog has such good tools to turn that vision into action. So I want to affirm you and thank you both on my behalf and all those listening right now for sharing your inspiration and your knowledge with us. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
My pleasure. And once again, if you want to, which I highly encourage, download Jewels' information and the free handout. That's TravelJewels.net or all of the show notes, TomRhode.com/Jewels. As always, we are wishing you peace and blessings. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed this week's episode of The Celebration. Before we sign off, quick question for you. Do you have a business or a side hustle or a product or a service? Or maybe you're a musician or a poet, or maybe you're an actor or an influencer, or somebody who has some sort of message, gift, product, service that you want to share with the world to make it a better place, while at the same time creating a sustainable income. If this sounds like you, I'm excited to share with you that in April, I'm launching Inner Power Group Coaching. Now, I've had the amazing opportunity to work with best-selling authors, to work with people who have launched businesses on Beverly Hills, Rodeo Drive, to work with teachers, to work with nonprofits, to work with influencers, to work with musicians and actors and all sorts of amazing people who are doing wonderful things in the world. And I share all that to say that what I've learned is that for the most part, people have 99.9% of what they need to create success, or to take what they already have and to take it to the next level. And for the most part, all that we're doing is those 0.01 or those 0.1% or those 1% small adjustments that people need to elevate their success. And that could look like just a little shift in confidence, or in communication, or in building relationships, or in sales, or using social media to build a consistent and loyal following. Or how do you use Facebook ads or other digital ads to reach new customers? Now, the way to find those little 0.1 increments is to find yourself a great mentor or somebody that you can work with, like a coach. Now, a coach can be someone you find through a book, or someone you've never met that you listen to their podcast every week. But what works really great is when you can find the opportunity to meet with somebody on a consistent basis who can give you those feedback and connect you with those resources. And if you'd allow me to, I'd love to be that coach for you. Now, I want to share with you two foundations of my coaching, just so you know right off the bat if these resonate with you, for us to be a good fit for each other. The first thing I believe in is that every single person on this earth is born with a gift and with resources and tools and strengths that are unique to them. And that our life experiences, when we trust our internal intuition, our internal guidance, when we trust the process and the path laid out for us, that they always find a way of linking up to make the world a better place, while at the same time allowing us to experience success. The second thing is rather than the stereotypical coach where you hear of coaches that fire people up or really hold people accountable, or I'm going to push you, I'm going to pull you, all those kind of things. Instead, we're just trying to follow the laws of the universe. And instead, what we're always looking for is the path of least resistance, the easiest path, the path that brings you the most amount of joy and the most fulfillment in the work that you do. For I believe that when you're experiencing joy, when you're experiencing those moments where time just disappears because you're lost in the process, that's the world, that's your heart, that's your life communicating to you that you're on the right path. And so as your coach, I'm always trying to help you find those moments, while at the same time bringing to you all the resources that I have to elevate and to allow your business to achieve the fullest potential and beyond that it can do. And so, as I've mentioned, this is going to be Inner Power Group Coaching. It's going to focus specifically on business development, ways that you can use social media or digital ads, or ways you can increase your sales, all those different things. But it's going to focus specifically on business development. So if you're looking to take the ultimate shortcut, because here's what's free. What is free is that you can take the 10 to 15 years that I've invested in my life and learning of ways that you communicate with people, giving public speeches. How do you communicate in a way that has influence while at the same time is authentic. And then other really tactical things, like how do you use social media to create an audience? How do you sell things online? Or if you have a brick and mortar, how can you increase traffic into your store? All those different minute detail and logistical things. You can research those things on your own and take the years that I've put in. Go to the conferences I've gone to, hire the coaches that I've hired, all those different things. That is absolutely free and available to you. But if you'd like to leverage your resources as a shortcut, instead what I'd like to do is just offer those to you in a systemic way through meeting once a month or twice a month. And so if that sounds good to you, if what you'd like to do is take advantage of this Inner Power group coaching business development, what I'm going to share with you is that if you sign up before the end of March, another way to say that, you signed up before the start of April, I'm going to offer you 50% off your entire first month. And as you've already heard, there's two options. You can meet once a month with us or twice a month with us. And I'm going to give you 50% off either package that you purchase. And so if you're looking to connect with a group of people who are like you, and that they are inspired and they have something within them they want to share with the world while at the same time creating a sustainable income. If you're looking for that while looking to bring resources, knowledge, tactics, all these different things to your life and to your business, then come check it out. TomRhode.com/coach. TomRhode.com/coach is where you can find all of that. If you'd like to give it a test run, we can set up a free 30-minute coaching session so you can see a little bit about my philosophy and see if it's a good fit for you. You can also find that at TomRhode.com/coach. I hope you check it out. My friends, I hope every day you are learning ways that you can tell your story fully and use it to build your business and create a sustainable income while making the world a better place. And if you allow me, I'd love to be a part of that journey. Once again, TomRhode.com/coach. As always, wishing you peace and blessings.